investigators discovered the remains of a homemade bomb. The explosive was of a type used in quarries, and the timer was made from clock parts. This information greatly facilitated the investigation, and the very next day, November 9th, it was all over. Georg Elser was arrested as he attempted to cross the Swiss border.
My only considerations involved ways in which the lot of the working classes could be improved and war avoided. I was encouraged by no one, and I was never influenced by anyone else in any way. I never heard conversations of a similar nature. I never heard Radio Moscow say that the German government and regime had to be overturned. I did it so that no more blood would be spilled. I acted alone and was encouraged by no one. I never doubted the worthiness of my action.
For the German authorities, it was unthinkable that a single man, a man of the people, could have come so close to succeeding. The press published photos of 2 British agents who were said to have attempted to assassinate the Führer with Elser's help. It was pure propaganda. Georg Elser, the loner, was sent to a prison camp to await a trial intended to denounce the role of the British. Without a change in the weather, Hitler should have died, and the future of the world may have been very different. Elser's failed attack was a boon for the Führer. He was able to say that he was protected by divine providence. Soon after the funerals of the victims of the attack, a report drawn up by the SS intelligence service, the SD, noted that the assassination attempt in Munich has greatly strengthened the notion of solidarity among the population, and love for the Führer has intensified. Despite the reticence of his staff, it was time for Hitler to attack Western Europe. Hitler detested the generals who resisted him. On May 10, 1940, he sent his troops to attack Holland, Belgium, and France. Reputed to be the best in the world, the French army was swept aside in barely 5 weeks. Audacious German planning and the brutality of the Blitzkrieg overcame the French forces betrayed by defective leadership. The French government capitulated. The appalling defeat was consummated with Marshal Pétain's request for an armistice on June 20th. For Adolf Hitler, victory was total. General Keitel, chief of the Supreme Command, now called Hitler Größter Feldherr aller Zeiten, the greatest military leader of all time. Hitler's insane wager had paid off. He was now the master of France and of Europe. For the conquering hero, it was time to explore his new domain. On June 23, 1940, at 6 o'clock in the morning, Hitler made a lightning tour of Paris, escorted by cameramen from the propaganda department. The Arc de Triomphe, the Opera, Madeleine, the Invalides in Napoleon's tomb, and finally, the Trocadero Esplanade, where Hitler posed for the cameras before the Eiffel Tower. A few months later, officers under Field Marshal Erwin von Witzleben planned to kill Hitler during a parade down the Champs-Élysées. But Hitler never set foot in Paris again. With the war won in the West, Hitler turned back to the East. It was time to attack the Soviet Union, or the Judeo-Bolshevik Empire, as he called it. On June 22, 1941, at dawn, Operation Barbarossa began. Hitler sent 125 divisions against the Soviet Union. Preceded by thousands of planes which devastated Soviet defenses in just a few hours, 3 huge armies with 5 million men and 4,300 tanks swept over the Red Army, heading north towards Leningrad, east towards Moscow, and south towards the Ukraine grain belt and the Caucasus oil fields. The greatest military invasion of all time. A warfaring steamroller. Leningrad was soon within artillery range, Moscow less than 100 kilometers away, and Kiev already captured. Nothing could stop Hitler from expanding his Lebensraum, or living space. Red Army losses were colossal, and millions of prisoners were taken, few of whom would survive the Nazis' barbarism. At the Wehrmacht HQ, Marshal Kettel handed out orders to his officers: a license to kill, permission to assassinate.
The most frightful document landed on my desk. It bore Hitler's signature and ordered that any commissar or political leader from the Red Army who came into our hands should be delivered to the security services in order to be eliminated or shot in situ.
The war was already brutal, and led by Hitler, it would only get worse. Every Wehrmacht unit was to be followed up by an SS group, the Einsatzgruppen, entrusted with mopping up operations. Savage arrests, mass assassinations and executions. No holds were barred, and they enjoyed total impunity beyond all jurisdiction. Their victims were communists, and above all, the Jews.
We are soldiers, not assassins. As long as I am Chief Operations Officer at the Army Group